pressing the button. That really hurt when I punched myself in the hand. We are live.
Oh.
We're live.
Oh.
You know why we're live? Because it's Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the coolest people on the face of the earth are on the other side of that camera.
That's right.
Hello.
And we brought a cool person with us today. Who are you?
I am Kasia from Creative Pet Keeping.
Yay.
This is Kasia from Creative Pet Keeping, and she's going to be hanging out with us today because we have questions. And you better have some answers for us because we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. Yeah, we're going to be talking about
You better be ready.
bettas. Well, I guess that's the first question. Before we even get started on anything.
Bettas.
Yeah, all right, so what do you prefer? Bettas, betas, bettas,
I would
or
just
bettas?
So I thought bettas because I thought what you say in the Midwest, but I know it's like a regional specific thing, so I'm not gonna be like that's the only way you say it because I mean it depends.
Yeah, a lot of people have
All right,
their...
so you're gonna allow all to fly, right? Basically, however anybody wants to pronounce it.
Or you could be like siamskie walczące ryby, which is like Polish.
You could be that way.
What?
Yeah. See, we wanted to bring the multilingual
Dobrze.
thing.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
One thing we should probably, two things from the start. One, Joanna, you need to move towards Kasia because you're halfway off the screen.
Oh,
okay.
You don't need to. No, you're fine. She just
No,
needs
I'm
to move
gonna
over. We're a little cramped here in the studio. That's one
Yeah.
of the downsides. Actually, I realized right before the video I could fix that, or right before we went live, because I have the camera slightly zoomed in, and I could zoom it back out a little bit, I
Yeah.
think, and then I just have to refocus it manually. But I didn't want to do all that, so now we're all crunched in here together.
Cozy.
One other thing that I learned before we start, you taught me something. What did you teach me right before the live stream? She
I
looked
was
over
like-
at my screen and she's
I was
like,
like, why do you have why don't you have live chat? You just have what was the other one? The
Top chat?
Yeah, the top chat, which doesn't show you all the comments. I'm like,
You didn't even know.
you're missing comments.
my dear
even know.
friends, for those of you who have watched these live streams and wonder why sometimes I miss comments, it is apparently because my computer, when I do live streams, and I did not know this, there are two options, apparently, top chat and live chat, and it just defaults to top chat, and so that's what I've always used. And now it's beginning to make sense why some people will be like, man, I left this comment or this question and they never answered. It's like, well, I might not have ever seen it because this. What does top chat do? Does it just randomly select, or does it the YouTube decides what I'm
I
going
don't
to
know
see?
exactly, but I just know that like if there's a lot of comments on a live stream, so it's not like flying through really fast, and you're like, I want to see my comments, but I don't know what's going on. It'll slow it down for you, so you have some comments but I don't really know how it works.
So, thank you to Kasia for Creative Pet Keeping because we solved that, and now we have live chat, and so now I will actually be able to see everybody's comments, and I don't know how long it's been that way. It's probably been that way forever. So
Whatever you can see with your eyes.
whatever I can see, and today it's going to be I'll use my other monitor that's closer to me. So a few
He
things.
needs glasses.
No, I don't.
Yeah, he does.
A few things before we get into your stuff. We have a couple of announcements. One, Monday, if you haven't checked out Monday's video, we did, and you were there too. You saw Aquatics.
I made a video about it too. Oh my gosh, I
Did
should
you?
plug it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I got my favorite fish.
That's where you
I
did.
made
That's right.
Wait,
I
the
remember
blue
that.
ocellatus.
Yeah, and you just did
Yeah.
that video this week. So we've got more announcements. So Monday we did the Aquatics fish store tour. If you haven't seen it, tons of cool fish. Some of them wound up in your fish room, and you did a video on it this week at Creative Pet Keeping about the blue ocellatus, which is a shell dweller. Which
They're cool.
We'll talk about those later today. So yeah, that's a great place. Cool fish for sure. Today, on the small scape, Joanna, she rescaped a tank for one of our notorious fish
That's right.
named Killer. Because he likes to.
He's a bad boy.
Yeah, he was. So he got his own tank. So that happened on the
Yeah,
small
but it's
scape.
it's a happy ending, so you have to watch the video.
Yeah, it
It's
starts
an
out
escape
as
with a story.
an angry beginning with a happy ending. Yeah,
That's right.
all the emotions. Tomorrow's Thursday, so that means guess what? Members only videos coming out. We're gonna hang out in the fish room. I'm gonna show you some stuff, some secret, special, top secret stuff. It's gonna
Can
be
I
awesome.
see it?
Yeah, you can see it. You're a guest.
I could go
yeah.
downstairs
After
later.
this, if you do a good job. So we have to let you all decide if Kasia does a good job, can she see the extra special stuff? If she does mediocre or less, we're going to kick her out.
Yeah,
we're
you
just
gotta
like,
use
you're
the
done.
fish emojis.
No fish room
5.
tour for you today. Yep, so that's the way it's going to be. And then Friday, we've got a species profile coming out. Really cool fish. I think you're going to like it. And then Saturday, Joanna's going to have something crazy on the small scape.
You got it.
Yeah. She's going to do something crazy. What
Crazy
are you doing?
fun.
I'm trying to look at I want to look at the comments too.
Okay. I thought you were going to take a
see
picture
them.
of the camera. Like,
No,
that's
there's
the-
so many. There's comments here, and then there's comments here, and then
Yeah.
there's comments here, and I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know where to look. So I was like, maybe I
I
should
know.
pull out my own. So I'm just not like.
Okay, well, you can use your own comments section if you want to. So that's what's going on. And then are you also going to be this Sunday at the GCCA swap?
Yes.
Okay, you're not gonna. Are you selling anything, or are you
I don't know.
You're just gonna wander around?
Can I have like?
You
one...
need a section of my table, and now you're gonna. Oh, you're such a rookie.
I know my thing. My volume was on here. Can I have like 1/8 of
Yeah,
your
you can
table?
have 1/8. So
I'll
on
bring
Sunday,
a Betta.
Yeah, on Sunday, we're going to be at the GCCA swap. It's in Northbrook. Go to gcca.net and check it out. And I think it's from 10 to 1, but you can get in early if you pay a few extra bucks. They let
10,
people
I
in
believe,
at 9.
right?
Yeah, 10 to 1.
But normal admission is 5, which is really great. It's 5.
And there'll be a bunch of people there selling all kinds of cool stuff. Our stuff is already on the website, primetimeaquatics.com. If you are going to be at the swap and you want some of our fish, check it out, because usually what winds up happening is by the time 10:30, 11 o'clock rolls around, we've sold out of most of the stuff, and people are like, oh man, I came here, I really wanted those. If that's going to be you, my recommendation is just check out the website, pre-order it. That way it'll be bagged, ready for you. It'll have your name on it. It'll be special. So that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's a new location.
Yeah.
It's bigger. There's more space for activities.
Oh yeah, much more space, more elbow
That'll
room.
be good.
Yeah.
Which is always nice.
Previously, it was like a rock concert where you'd get in there, like a nightclub. You'd get in there elbow to elbow, and you'd be like, I can't see anything. It's warm in here. I'm going to pass out and probably develop some kind of fear of crowds. But now it's a little bit more spaced out, a lot more room.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say I'm going to develop ick. And I was like, people can get ick. But that's where my brain went. Like, I'm just going to get ick.
It used to be you could get ick. You come home, you're like, oh, you're flashing against your furniture. You're like scraping. All of a sudden,
Just got to rub.
you see somebody, they're just sitting there by their ceiling fan going, what's the matter?
Oh my God.
Can't breathe so well. The ick is in my lungs. Scratching away. Yeah. Little ick parasites are jumping out of the carpet. Ah, it's got me. It's got me.
It's
Oh my
worse.
God.
Big giant pustules from all parts of your body.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna
It's
cry.
like chicken pox, only this big around.
I didn't do waterproof mascara.
Well, that's what happens when you get people
for
ick.
me.
Yep. You get people ick. It happens.
Ooh.
So, if you're here, you're here. And I want to talk a little bit about bettas, because that is a fish. We're going to talk a little bit about bettas, a little bit about some of the other fish that you keep. And of course, we're going to answer all the questions. So if you've got just general fish keeping questions, between the three of us, I am confident we will be able to hopefully answer most of your questions. So, but I did want to start out with the betta thing because you've been doing it for a long time. Yeah. You've had your channel. You're actually, when it comes to YouTube, you've been on YouTube a pretty long time, right? Since
Back in the days,
Yeah.
starting on the interwebs, I had to do voiceovers using a webcam because I didn't have a microphone.
Yeah, they didn't even invent those yet, right?
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I had guinea pigs. My channel was not even about fish. I was making guinea pig content. Did you know?
Creative
I bet you
pet
didn't-
keeping.
you might have not known, yeah.
It wasn't creative fish keeping.
I kept
at the
pets.
Time.
What was
Yeah.
your first fish?
Oh, that's a sad story. So I did. Okay, in my defense, I was a middle school child, but I did start off with a bowl and a betta and a placo.
Okay.
A real, like an actual
And then
pleco?
yes,
Like the big ones that get like 2 feet
it was
long?
like this big already. And then I went to camp, and then my mom forgot about it. Both of them.
Yeah.
And when I came back, there were like just the bones of both of them, and it was very sad. So after that, I was like, I'm not gonna do this for a while. That was a little traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, okay, it gets worse. Then finally, how I got into my first tank was it was time to do a science fair, and I was like, I refuse to do that volcano. Everyone's doing the
yeah.
volcano.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna be a rebel. And
You're
I'm
going to shoot a fish out of the volcano.
No. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do a science experiment about fish. And in my head, this was like the best like idea ever. Like looking back at it now, I'm just like, I don't know. But I was a kid. So I was like, I'll get a 10-gallon tank and I'll divide it 3 ways. And I'll do like one with plants, one with like nothing but normal gravel, and the other one with plastic, like colorful plants and colorful betta.
Okay.
I mean, not betta, but like gravel.
Yeah.
And then I'll get 1 tetra each for each section. Just one. Just one tetra. One. And I'll put it, and I'll observe the behavior changes, which clearly in my head was going to be like, the naturalistic setup was going to make the tetra happy. At the time, my teacher, like, when I explained it to her, like, she could tell, like, I'm really excited, but she was looking at me like, it's not going to work. But I was really determined. And I remember getting the fish from Petco. I was like, I need 3 tetras. And they're like, what are you getting them for? I'm like, my science experiment. And
they're all
like,
gonna die.
and they're like, no, they sold them to me. They were like, but we have to mention, like, on the receipt that you can't return them. So this is like a no refund thing for like 3 tetras. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So then I did it. Clearly there was like no results from this because the tetra just like all hang out sadly, like wanting to get to each other. They were like, please, why? We're schooling fish.
Why?
There's too much space. It's too much space for me. So then, like, you know, I didn't conclude anything from the science experiment. And then at the end, I ended up taking the barriers out, and I was like, let them just live together. Yeah. And that's how I ended up with my first tank being the 20-gallon long. That's what it was, 20, not 10. For like 3 tetras. So clearly, like, you know, I understocked. But that's why my original first, like, Betta tank later on had blue and black gravel, because one side was blue, the other side was black, and the other one had sand. I took out the sand because I was like, I'm not dealing with this, but I mixed the blue and black gravel.
So wait, did your plants survive?
They did. But the tetra was like, why? And then
why?
Finally,
I just
put them together, and they were so happy when I took the little, like, dividers out, because back then they had those, like, weird flexible dividers that, like, didn't really hold fish in, but they worked for a tetra, because what is that going to do?
Just like,
the bettas are like, I will jump over it like Free Willy.
They're kind of like the cows when they're sitting there in the farms, like, dude, you realize you could literally walk through that little wire fence as long as it's not electric. Cows is like, no, I'm not going to do it. The grass over here is just fine.
I have an electric fence cow story, too.
We can save that one for later.
The end.
So you started out with a science experiment.
Yeah.
And now you are where you are today. And what's interesting is your fish room is in an apartment.
Yeah.
And you have how many tanks in this apartment?
16.
16 tanks. And your fish room is very well done. In fact, if you look at the thumbnail that we did for the live stream, that is your fish room, along with like multiple pictures of you, because I was just being silly. And
Kasia throughout the ages.
Yeah. And so you've done fish room tours on your channel. I did a fish room tour of your fish room on our channel a couple times, actually. So if you want to check it out, it's very well done. And would you say at this point right now, what are you keeping right now?
Predominantly, it would be dwarf cichlids. And then I have some of the bettas for my betta breeding project. So I held back a couple males, and then there's a couple more that I still want to sell at the swaps. And then I have like my big female sorority, which are all the sisters. But predominantly it's all like little nano setups, nano tanks, and fish that I would like to breed for my local fish club, the GCCA, that I would like to get the BAP points for. So I can be cool and be like, I want to be a master breeder one day.
You're going to pass me right up with the BAP points, because I
Where
basically,
you at?
I don't know anymore, but I just
You've
stopped.
bred so much.
Yeah, but I just stopped. After everything got shut down, I'm like, I can't move these fish. There were no swaps. There were no auctions.
But I paused too, so you have time to catch up.
Yeah,
I think I had like one BAP last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You gotta get the plaque. The plaque is nice. It's well made.
I've got plaques. I just stopped.
Mine fell and it dented a hole in my desk.
Well, you should take better care of it.
In my desk.
Yeah. Matches the one in your
head. If you watch my review that came out today, you'll see the hole in my desk. Look for it.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So, what got you interested in bettas? Because you started with the neons. So, what attracted you to?
Well, it first started with the first one in the jar, and that was literally the whole, like, I was in PetSmart, and I just saw them in the cups. And at the time, if you would ask the people that worked there, now it's changing a lot. But they were like, yeah, you just totally get a little, like, bowl for them. And I was like, I want a pet. And at the time, we just had my dog. So my previous dog was a Labrador. So I was like, I want another pet. And my parents were like, we don't want to commit to anything, but, like, we'll get you a bowl because that's easy. And at the time, we didn't have a lot of the internets. The internets was still, like, you know, a new thing. So the only way you could get information was either go to the library, which, you know, if you're a middle school kid, good luck getting the motivation for that. Or you could be like me, who's going to be like, the people at the fish store are clearly experts, so I will just not question and do the thing. So I did. So that was where I started with the betta. And I think maybe it's like the childhood guilt now of like not taking care of this betta properly that made me be like, I want to try this again and I want to do better. And then every time I would try again with different setups, with different fish in the future. I'm always trying to see if I can improve from what I've done in the past. So that's kind of my goal. Try to do better.
Lovely.
Do better for the fish.
That's
Lovely.
pretty cool. Just saw a super chat roll in. Infinity Aquatics, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now this is fun. Can you see? Love you guys. I'm the guy from the OCA that braided your hair. So yeah, we saw you at this past one, and then in 2019. Yeah, Kasia was half asleep and basically...
No, I was enjoying that. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, that's why, because you were enjoying it so much. I just remembered, like, you almost went face down.
Getting anything... like, I can't do hair. I cannot.
Yeah.
Like, there's only 3 hairstyles you're going to see. Down, or, like, ponytail, or maybe, like, pigtails if I'm feeling, like, spicy that day. And that's it. So I was like, yes, just please, like... do my hair.
Yeah, it's professional.
I got so excited.
Sure.
I'm gonna have strangers coming up to me like, "Hey, can I braid your hair?" And I'll be like, "I don't know you."
Take a
yes.
number.
Yes. Yeah,
Take a
sure,
number.
whatever.
Yeah, there's a
That
line.
sounds
No, I
good.
will. I mean, I won't say. I probably won't say no.
Yeah. She's out in a street corner, some random person ties it in a big knot. Like,
No,
what happened?
thanks.
You got all this thing. I don't know. They're kind of like half dreadlocks, half knots. I know I'm never getting this out unless I shave my head. Well,
That's
what you get
something
for
I
letting-
actually wanted to do. I legit wanted to like shave my hair, and then be like, just so I don't freak anybody out.
You're gonna do a whole
Get a
Britney
wig.
Spears thing?
No, not like out of panic or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
or like
she's
a
doing
mental
it.
breakdown. It's more so that like I actually, oddly enough, don't like long hair. I feel like I have it because societally I'm obligated to, and it's like what people. So people like, I don't know, I blend in better that way. I don't know, but I've been wanting to like shave it one day,
Wow.
and then
Okay.
like I would get a wig. So that maybe, like, on videos I could wear wigs, so I don't freak people out, because I feel like if I'm bald one day, people are going to be like, what happened?
Yeah, wow.
Are you okay?
went
But it's like,
Britney.
I'm okay. There's a lot of people that don't have, like, have
Sure.
short hair. My friend recently has short hair, and it looks really cool, so I don't know.
All right, Wendy wants to know, where'd you get your shirt? I want to know, too.
Oh, my
Was it on your
shirt?
trip?
This is, from, where's, Foo, are you down there?
Yeah.
Where did we buy the shirt? The one, Take It Outside. Was it Columbia?
Which one?
The Take It Outside shirt.
With the trees.
Oh yes, Columbia.
Columbia. Daniel's
Really?
downstairs.
The store, Columbia?
Yeah.
Really? I assumed you got it on your trip that you just took.
For this, no, but we did
like
get a
it.
Rocky Mountain shirt, and Daniel, we got
Yeah.
the same ones, and we almost ended up wearing that.
Aw.
And it was actually his
Cute,
idea
cute.
to get a couple shirt. I was like, yes, cool.
Yeah.
Couple shirt. Yeah.
That's
Hashtag
awesome.
couple goals.
All right, so
Oh,
Bettas.
Bettas. I get distracted
Bettas.
a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Do you have a
Yeah,
favorite
so do
type?
I.
Like, there's so many, and I don't know all the types, but if you had to pick a favorite, I don't know, like fin type or color morph or whatever.
I have
what
favorite,
do you have
for
your
sure.
what is like the one that everybody should try because you say so?
Oh, well, obviously, my
your
favorite
favorite.
color type is the marble kois. That's what got me into trying to breed bettas in the first place, because I was like, I want to try to stabilize the marble gene. That didn't really work too well, but it was still fun, still cool, and I feel like I might have helped get koi bettas become a little more popular, which maybe why candy kois eventually got more popular. I don't know. That might not be like me, but I feel like I had like a little bit of a help, like boop it along the way. And then my favorite are placat bettas. So placats are the short finned variety. I like them because they don't have a lot of issues that a lot of the longer finned varieties have. So they're not going to fin bite because they literally cannot reach. Like they could swim in circles all day. They're not going to be able to bite their fins. You're not going to have a lot of issue with fin rot. That's a huge, big issue with half moons and, crown tails even sometimes have that. Veil tails, because naturally, I mean, these fish are technically not supposed to have such huge finnage. And the fins, they don't kind of stop growing. They just keep growing and growing. So that's why you sometimes have like an older betta that will have really, really long finnage that weighs it down. And when they're not moving around a lot, either they'll get frustrated, start nipping at their own fins, or they'll start to get fin rot because they're just there, and the bacteria starts growing on the fins. So that's my favorite thing. I still have one half moon in my fish room. He's an old guy from one of the previous aquashellas that Daniel picked out, and he's doing kind of okay, but it's only because I had to actually put him with my jarred males. So I put him in a 1 gallon jar, which you would be like, what? Why would you do that? Because he used to live in a 20 gallon tall. But what happened is he kept biting his fins constantly. And no matter what I did, he would not stop. I put him in a smaller tank, he would still fin bite. So then I was like, and he started getting a tumor, so I was like, oh, there's a lot happening. Like, there's a tumor in his head, he looks like a little unicorn, his fins are ripped up, this poor guy. So I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to jar him for a sec. Just give him some quiet, like, time out. Let me think about this. And lo and behold, his fins grew back, like, perfectly. He stopped fin biting, like, completely. I mean, he still has a tumor that's growing, so eventually, they'll get him. But it's a weird situation where, in his case, a small, quiet, no-flow setup was really great. Now, will that apply to all bettas? Most likely no. But that's something to keep in mind, that you have to consider the individual fish that you have. So requirements for fish are cool and they're helpful, and they're usually guidelines to get you started. But you also have to consider your individual fish. If I could have kept him in a tank, like a larger tank, he would have probably died because he was heading in that direction. The stress would cause disease would cause death. So he's like really weird, random situation, tangent of a story.
So we have a follow-up question that I think is pertinent. Finn Wiggles asks, what is the difference between a half moon and a full moon betta?
That one, I don't know.
Well, then she followed up as the full moon X-rated.
I
get it now.
Finn Wiggles, her schedule changed, so we won't be seeing Finn Wiggles on a Wednesday live stream for a while.
What? No.
Ooh.
We're going to have to talk to somebody. Let me know who we have to talk to. That's unacceptable. Yeah. We need you here. You're part of the group. So whoever made that, now if you wanted that schedule to happen, it's different. We'll back off. But just send me the names, the numbers, whoever I have to call. I'll make it happen. Your Wednesdays are free again. So, all right. So you said that you moved this betta from like a 20-gallon into a smaller tank into a jar.
Not even a tank. It's a jar.
Yeah. Well, I know now it is, but. If you were to if for a new betta keeper or just people who have been keeping bettas for a while, maybe they're struggling, describe what do you think is the ideal situation for most bettas, knowing that bettas are different, right? Some of them are more active, some of them less, but a safe, ideal situation for a betta. Someone wants to get a betta.
I say the safest thing to do is just go for a 10-gallon, mostly because I like that the 10-gallon dollar per gallon sale thing is a thing. So it's a very affordable size, to start with. The reason I'm going to recommend 10-gallon is not so much for the betta, it's for you. So it's because with larger water volume, it's, easier to have stable temperature because it's not going to fluctuate as much. There's going to be a little more room for error because especially if you have just a betta, like don't add anything else, and you put some live plants in there, say, the bioload is going to be very low. So if you don't do water changes as well as you should, maybe you forgot or some life happened, or, you're not going to worry about overfeeding your fish too much because you're just feeding one fish. 10-gallon is like a good, safe thing to do. Now, I do see online sometimes where people will post different tanks, especially like on Facebook, you'll see a lot of tanks, and sometimes you'll see like a beautiful planted tank by like someone who's been keeping fish for a long time, and some of them are different sizes and they're smaller. And a lot of people will be like, no, betta needs to have a minimum or a 5 or a 10. It's possible to make it work in a smaller tank. It's just you have to be more knowledgeable and have more experience to make it work. Mm-hmm. So I would say, it's not the size so much it matters for the individual fish. I mean, you want to give the fish space. It's just what works for you as a fish keeper. Sure. In the end, I feel like there's no ideal for bettas because in let's say for the wild bettas in the wild, they have so much space. Like, we're never going to be able to recreate what they do. So do our best. I think 10-gallon is a good thing to do. If you want to be fancy, do a 20. Then that way you can add some little...
you got some tank mates.
Community tank mates. And it's
really
fun.
Water parameters, because we get a lot of questions like that. We've done betta species profiles and stuff. And I know that you, from watching some of your videos, you've actually done some experiments when it comes to water temperature, and you've really looked at water hardness. I know you've dealt with all kinds of water parameter things. When it comes to keeping bettas, I'm talking about store-bought bettas, not wild caught or anything like that, but just you go to the store, you go to Petco, PetSmart, wherever, you buy your betta, you bring it home. What are you doing? What are you recommending for temperature? Is there an ideal hardness, or does it matter as much? What do you? recommend?
We'll start with temperature. Temperature is a fun one because there's the ideal range and then there's like what the Betta will tolerate kind of range, if that makes sense. So your ideal range is between 78 to 80 Fahrenheit, and that's like their little most happy temperature, I guess. If you're breeding, you may do a little higher than that. You can do like 82, 84 for breeding, especially for fry. It's really nice. But really, between 78 and 80 is fine. It could be a little lower. It could be a little warmer, but I would say try not to. If it does, don't panic, because I see this a lot where someone's heater will break or something will happen, like if it gets colder, and then they start to panic, and then they're like, oh no, I need to put like hot water bottles in my little tank, or I need to do all this and that. And what's happening is because you're going to mess with the tank, and it's usually like a smaller size tank, the temperature is going to fluctuate like this. Even if you use hot water bottles, there's no way you're going to keep a consistent temperature throughout the whole time. And then what are you going to do at night when you're sleeping? Like the temperature will drop anyways. So in that situation, I think the best thing to do is if the bed is like in a cold room, you could wrap the tank up with a blanket, but just leave it. Order a new heater to come in and just leave it alone. What's going to happen is the temperature will drop, assuming your house doesn't get colder than like 70 would really be pushing it. But I would say like if your house is like 74, 75, you'll be fine. Because for a short period of time, the lower temperatures will be okay as long as the drop is very steady. And then you feed your fish a little less during that time because their metabolism will slow down. And just wait, get your heater, and then when you get your heater, let it slowly warm up again, and then you'll be fine. Also, what happens is in the summer, sometimes depending on where you live, it'll get pretty hot. I used to live in my parents' attic. Oh, those were the days. And there are times where it would get in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like,
oh
so my tanks would get super hot, and the bettas were like, nah, I'm fine. It's just a Tuesday. Like, we're great. All the other fish. Yeah, I would be, all the other fish, I'd have to be worried because with higher temperatures, there's going to be lower, like, oxygen content in the water. So if you don't have a good flow, some fish will suffocate. Bettas are like, we have the labyrinth organ. We're in the bantoids.
Well, just go ahead and suck a little air. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if it gets hot, once again, if it's gradual, it's fine. Don't put ice cubes in your tank. If you do want to, if you're really concerned and maybe you have a community tank and you have some fish that don't handle high temperatures and you're in a place that gets really hot, just get a fan to blow on the top of your tank. That could be enough, like consistently, where it's gently going to cool the tank, but it's not going to drastically cool it for you either. So that's going to be the thing.
So
that was a ramble.
That's what we want, is we want information. You and I have talked a lot about this, the state of the betta across the nation. And I'm specifically referring to a lot of the bettas that you find at the big box stores and stuff. Have you noticed a deterioration in their overall health? And if you have, or maybe you haven't, but it seems like I have.
Oh, I have.
In terms of, I mean, we get these things and they're not living as long. They're having all kinds of problems. What are you finding are the primary issues?
Some of it's our water a little bit.
Okay.
Because that ties into like water parameters. Bettas don't do really well in hard water. And I should have brought it. There's a cool study that they compared the bacteria in gills of fish in hard water versus acidic water, right? Mm-hmm. And they found out that there's way less bacteria, like huge amount differences between hard water and acidic water. And the nice thing about having hard water species and them being so resilient, so for example, all my cichlids are doing great in my water all the time. Like I rarely have big issues that pop up. But with bettas in my water, because I haven't tried to actually use RO water, and it's something I'm really starting to consider, like in the future going forward for both my domestic and my wilds, do I need to actually take the time to alter my water, whether it's, I'm going to do half and half with RO, and tap, or full RO. It's a big issue because a lot of these fish are coming from overseas, soft acidic water, usually probably pH neutral, and then they come here and then there's all these new diseases because it's different part of the world, with hard water, it's even hard. That's why they get sick all the time. Like, I get so depressed when I go to like Facebook groups because I want to kind of lurk in there because I want to see like what people are asking so that I can make videos. But then I see so many sick bettas, and I know it's important and they have to ask and share because they need the help to help identify what's going on and how to medicate the fish. But it's so depressing when you're like scrolling through Facebook and you just see like really sick, constantly sick betta tumor, like half the fin is eaten off and like all these things. It's constant. This is a big problem with the bettas. And it's also, the other part is genetics. We are inbreeding them so hard, especially now with there being such, popular trends, that some of them, like for example with like the half moon Dumbos, like Dumbos is recessive genes, so you have to do a bit of inbreeding to, make sure that doesn't go away. Our bettas are very inbred. It's sad. For a while, honestly, like it stressed me out so much that I almost quit bettas because I was like, why are my fish not living 5 to 7 years? Why are they living like max 3? For my fish room. And then I, after talking to a bunch of people, and I asked, different breeders, I asked other fish keepers from FishTube, I asked a ton of different people, and like the general consensus is like, yeah, they're not meant to live very long. Breeders, don't really, I guess, keep their fish long term because they don't have the space to keep all their fish. No one's really checking. I'm trying to hold mine back now because I'm curious. Like, I want to see, like, what's going to happen. Are my fish going to develop tumors as they get older? But the downside is I only have one spawn at the moment. So it's like I can't have a lot of spawns if I want to do that. So I don't want to, like, fault the breeders for not doing the same thing. Because when you're doing multiple spawns, like, where are you going to keep all the fish to see, like, is your line healthy? Are there issues that are popping up? And then I don't think people are intentionally intending to create fish that are genetically so weak either. So I don't want to be like, the breeders are awful, they're making horrible fish. It's just, this is the demand. The demand is really high right now, especially because the betta hobby is really growing, and it's growing very quickly. And predominantly you're getting, bettas from like one single source. Maybe if we had more smaller breeders, and maybe if we had, more local in the US so that US people can buy from other smaller local breeders, we can start to breed for health. You just don't see that as a priority because when you're, either shipping to a big box store where they're, getting a couple cents per fish, like, to get any profit, you have to just churn out fish, grow them really quickly. And it's kind of a thing.
I've got a great question.
Okay.
And this comes up all the times with bettas. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
David wants to know, is there a limit of bettas you can have in one tank because of the aggression?
Well, for males, that's a simple answer. The limit is one. I'm sure someone out there is like, I got lucky and like kept 2, and they're like weird outliers, and they're like somehow, or wild. Yeah, you can keep more of those. But with females, you can get away with, a group, but even that's kind of tricky because technically bettas are solitary fish. So whether it's a male or female, they just like to be kind of alone. They like to be a predator and just pretend to find things. Not fight things. Well, they do like to fight things, but they want to find their little food. They want to, hide and kind of ambush and eat a snail.
I got a movie quote.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
Macadamia nut. Macadamia nut. Man, I got that. You got a problem, you just come to me. You got a problem, Sheriff, just come to me. Macadamia nuts, I got that all day. You should know that
I know. That's right. It's
all right. No,
you always say that, but I'm not going to say it.
Did you know? Side note, and I don't know. Yeah, Whip's World is here, dude. Loved your quote in the comment section. Did you think I was going to know that movie? He quotes Mr. Mom to me. I'm like, what? Dude, we'll go all day.
You want to hear the whole movie? There we go.
Yeah, because and I just picked it up right from the next line.
Really?
And it was an obscure quote. It was like. This is what what did you say? It was like something like, this is what we tell all our new mommies. Maybe that was a quote that I picked up. We pick up from the north and drop off from the south. That way the little kiddos don't have to walk in front of the cars to get to the learning facility. Okay, north to drop off, south to pick up. north to drop off, moron. Yeah, I got it all, man. We can go all day with that movie.
Oh man!
But I loved it. I was very excited when I saw that quote.
He still drops quotes on me every time,
But she is
and I don't
no
know any
fun
of them
because she's.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just no fun. But anyway, macadamia nut. Yeah, I got this.
Why is he blowing the macadamia nut away?
That's part of the movie. Only the people who saw the movie will know that, and that's a very obscure quote from the movie, right? So that's not like a mainline one.
Shocking.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you need another quote, I'll give it to you, but we'll just see how it goes.
Here. Mike, you're supposed to read this.
Me?
Yeah.
Please let Kasia read it. Pozdrowienia dla wszystkich. Dzięki za
You better not be swearing. Don't get me demonetized in Poland because of your...
Świetną robotę? Świetną robotę. Like, good job. So it's like, saying hi to everybody. Thank you for a good job. And I'm really bad at reading Polish. It's been a while since I was in Poland. I came when I was 7 to the America.
But it's still pretty good.
Yeah,
because I don't even read English that good, and I've always been here. So that's just the way I roll. A couple of super chats. Minister Brandon, thank you so much for the super chat. Just bought some neon tetras. Do I need dim light? They'll do better. They'll be less shy and they will be pretty. Yeah. So I was thinking tannins, right?
Ooh.
Throw some catappa leaves in there, or some cholla wood, or some Indian almond leaf, or Indian almond leaves.
In your
catappa
tank.
are the same, but the little cones. Alder cones?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that can be really pretty because then that little blue stripe that you see if they're standard neons, that really shines. And then if the tank has got a lot of tannins that fade, like they go away, they go towards the back of the tank and you don't see them, they come up and boom, all of a sudden you got all these blue streaks. But dim lights, yeah, they'll enjoy that.
So
not necessary, but it is cool, right?
It's
definitely a cool thing.
Oh, Steve says, Herb, I was never even in aisle 3.
Nice, Mr. Mom quote.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting to see, does somebody get the other one, the macadamia nut one? That's going to be a tough one. Killer Kitty 08, thank you so much for the dancing kitty. Appreciate that.
That's not a kitty. That's a
kitty.
That's a Shiba Inu.
Liz wants to know,
it's a breed of dog.
Was that a Nicolas Cage
He's even
movie?
got the
No, it's not a Nicolas Cage movie.
The Japanese flag.
Liz.
Wait, all this time?
Punch.
We thought it was
a Shiba Inu. I'll show you Shiba Inu. I'll Google it right now.
I believe you, but
we always think
it's
a cat.
Killer Kitty 08, can you confirm?
Killer Kitty 08.
Yeah, I think it's a cat. I
It
think
does
that you're
kind of
just
look like
wrong.
a Shiba Inu, I guess.
It might be, but we think it's a cat.
Yeah.
No. It's still a cat.
Killer Kitty 08, what do you think it is?
It is what you
picked
want it to be.
Oh, that's
Why?
true.
I want to know why.
So that's the way it is.
It was cute, or you
Yeah.
thought it was something?
So,
Oh, Whips World, it says Seinfeld is the only one he can remember.
No, this is a movie. All right, let me give you another quote from it.
Nuts
Yeah,
in there
macadamia nut. Man, I can smell those guys from here. Some of the quotes that are coming in are not appropriate to say on live TV. Let's see here. We just put those stupid patches on our back because your wife made them for us and we didn't want to make her feel bad. Okay, let's see. Those were better quotes.
I don't know what any of these are from.
I know.
I mean, I did
show.
just see half of Mean Girls when we were at the hotel.
Oh, yeah, that was, so, because that was, Joanna was like, oh, yeah, Mean Girls is on, let's watch that. Joanna falls asleep, and then we're up watching Mean Girls until 2 o'clock in the morning.
We
did
committed.
commit. It's like you started.
I only saw half of it.
Yeah, you're going to have to go and see the other half now. All right, so what else you got in the fish room? You mentioned that you've got the bettas. You mentioned you've got some other small dwarf cichlids. What are you doing in your fish room? And shrimp, yeah.
That I got originally because they were supposed to be Daniel's project, and now I'm just taking care of them. He will just come in and look at them once in a while, like the supervisor, like, yes.
Destroy Streets was very close. Hog Wild. Wild Hogs.
Yeah,
you were close.
There we go.
I give it to you. Road Hogs, the Rooster, yeah. You guys were all close. It's Wild Hogs. Road Hogs, Mad Hogs. They're all close. Wild Hogs, Frank was the one who got it the rightest. You did the most rightest. Dave from Iowa said, let's hit 200 likes. Again, we got to do what Dave from Iowa says because Dave from Iowa is the man. And if he's got a dictate for us, we just got to follow it. So go ahead and smack that like button right upside the face.
Sasha Fierce wants to know, what do you feed your bettas?
Ooh. I feed them a mix of things. So I can't seem to decide on what's best. So I just do a lot of things. Predominantly, I want to say like 60 to 70% of their diet is frozen bloodworms and brine shrimp, like frozen brine shrimp as well, because that's super easy. Once in a while, I will actually throw in some like live brine shrimp because it's fun to just watch them, just chase them around. It's like a fun, stimulative food.
It's not fun for the
But then I
shrimp.
do also rotate in different flakes and different types of pellets. I'm not really set on any brand. I'll just rotate a lot. The other reason why I do that is when I breed my bettas, I want to make sure that before I sell them, they will take both live as well as frozen and flake and pellet. So that way, when you buy one and you take it home, whatever you choose to, you have on hand, it's going to eat it. So that's another reason. I'm a little more careful with how much I feed nowadays than before. I used to be big on the like power feeding train because I thought it was like a really good thing to get your bettas big and chunky as soon as possible, until when I had to send one to a vet because I had a disease going on in the fish room and I wanted a fish vet to actually identify what's going on. He did a necropsy for me, sent the skin samples to the lab, but I found out that the fish also had fatty liver disease, and which then I realized that if you're not careful and feed a lot of food that has a lot of high fat content, fish, like when they store fat, they'll store it right around the liver, and then they can't really like exercise it off like we can, I guess. Also, I don't think it would around the liver would be so bad for us too. So just be careful that you're not feeding anything too cheap. The whole idea about like fatty liver disease, from what I'm aware, like originated the issue, like people were aware of it when they were feeding their koi fish like catfish food, because catfish food is like really high in fat, and then their koi fish were growing quickly and then getting chunky and then dying, and then when the necropsies happen, they have fatty liver. So just don't overfeed. If you want to go ham, frozen food is the healthiest thing. You won't get really bloated fish.
So here's a good question. TB asks, Kasia is related to Jason? We are not related by blood.
Wait.
No.
What?
So I'm like the adopted child, almost, sort of, kind of.
No,
because
not
like our
kind
daughter.
of. She's straight up.
Because
is.
when we go anywhere, like together, because since we're local to each other, if we go on adventures, like I'll just tag along. It's like when we went to the OCA, I was literally like their kid. I just like follow them around. I look like I'm like the sister. His boys. That's true. I got a fishy toy. She put it on the back, and I was like in the back seat. She put it in the window, and I was like, oh, this is yes. So
she gets her
I'm
car
like,
seat and everything.
I'm gonna
So-
officially
Sit in the
adopt
back seat.
it.
Just so you know, Simply Betta said that we should all dress like bikers.
We should, like wild hogs.
Yeah.
We should have the patch. Taylor's here.
I
That's
should
cool.
have wore the
Taylor.
GCC shirt, because I have the GCC shirt with the back with the fish on the
Yeah,
big
and then you could have just
motorcycle.
faced the opposite direction. It wouldn't have been weird or anything. Yeah, we're gonna get that. I think we should. We should get a really cool like biker. I actually have a biker vest, but we should get one that's a fish biker vest, and we can have our own patches and everything.
Yeah, with scales.
Taylor, what
and
do you
stuff.
think?
Are we gonna be like fish gangs? We
Yeah,
have our own
that's
gangs?
like that should be like a new
Rival
thing.
fish gangs.
Our prime
Oh,
timers.
Man. It'll be like
primates.
Anchorman.
Yeah, Anchorman.
It gets scary.
Yeah.
You know, with the fight scene
Oh yeah.
between the
Public
different...
television news. Yeah. Yeah, it could happen. I think that's a good idea. So, little story how we met. One day, I was a member of the GCCA, me and the boys, and we were sitting there. Joey was coming to speak at the GCCA, and so it was very packed. Obviously, it was a much busier meeting than it normally would. There were hundreds of people there, and so I sit down next to this one over here. At the time, I think you had like crazy pink hair or something. You had your camera. You looked
blonde and pink, yeah.
Yeah, and you looked all like YouTube. You could just tell you were like some kind of a YouTube person. So I said, hey, I'm like, do you do YouTube? And she's like, yeah, I've got a channel, Creative Pecky. I'm like, oh, that's cool. She's like, do you? I'm like, yeah, but I just started. She's like, well, what's your channel name? So I told her Primetime Aquatics. You want to know a story? Do you remember what subscriber number you were?
We're gonna shed a tear.
Do you remember what subscriber?
Little violin.
He still remembers your subscriber number.
What's subscriber
What
number?
is it?
20. She was my 20th subscriber. I remember saying, wow, I just went from 19 to 20. And I came home and I was like, I met somebody on YouTube and she subscribed to my channel and she was number 20 on my channel, so you're like one of the oldest subscribers.
Now, here's the question, though. Have you unsubscribed since?
Probably. She's probably like, I don't need to see this.
No, actually, to be legit, long story short, I went through a little phase where I started to get really paranoid about, like, my own videos, like hypercritical. And then what would happen is I'd plan a video or something, and if I saw anybody in the fish tube community, and there's so many people put out the same topic, I would scrap it and I would not do it. So I did a temporary thing where I unsubscribed to everybody as like a work on yourself, get back on like a regular thing, and then I'm gonna come back again. But I needed to do that for because I was getting in my own head. It was not like anything anyone else did. Like, it was me driving myself crazy because I understand
which is pretty easy for you to do to yourself.
I can't watch a lot of fish tubers because I don't want to get ideas. I don't want to. I just want to know that my ideas are
Although I'm still subscribed to Joanna.
What?
Wait, what?
I still stay subscribed to yours.
Okay, here's your $5. Thanks, Kasia.
This is messed up. You're out of here. Wait, Slamboy said crime time aquatics. We're getting the biker vest.
Oh, man.
We're going to need like different patches and stuff, like straight up.
That would make us a CTA.
Yeah.
CTA. That sounds very Chicago.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can make a little CTA with the fish. With the fish.
All right, so what kind of questions we got here? Bring them on, everybody. Because this one's falling off the rails really fast.
We're getting ideas.
Well, yeah, everybody's saying make a patch. We're going to have to make a patch, a biker patch.
Somebody is asking, let's see, I see some questions about these. And anybody's asking about these. These are 8.3 gallons from Lifeguard Aquatics. They're all inclusive. Love them.
Yeah.
4 tanks.
The only thing that doesn't come with them is the heater, but it's got the filter, and those are really cool because the filters are very, as you can hopefully not hear, the filters are very quiet. So if you hear anything, probably it's because we turned the ceiling fan on tonight. I apologize for that. But we got 3 people in here, and we don't want our guests dripping sweat when it's just Joanna.
It's very toasty, like in between the body warmth. It's nice.
Yeah, it's definitely on the warmer side. So
it's not bad though.
Here's a good
really
question. Liz asks, Kasia, I can't tell if my all-white Betta is male or female. I bought her as female, but she's got a lot of finnage, and I can't see a white spot on her.
Ooh,
that's a good question.
Since you have an all-white Betta, this might be a little easier. If you can get a flashlight, like a strong one, and try to shine from one side of the tank, you can almost kind of sometimes see through the Betta a little bit, and you can try to look for the ovaries. They're like little triangle shaped, like next to their stomach, and usually that's where like eggs would be.
Wow!
So look for ovaries because the egg spot is like sometimes males can have a false egg spot when they change genders. Mm-hmm. There was a cool study, I think I've told you this a million times before, where they did a spay kind of surgery. I guess they removed the ovaries in female bettas, and then or was it they removed the testes in males. I don't remember who they did to who, but either way, I think they did it.
It was definitely invasive.
They removed the ovaries in female bettas. The female bettas turned to males, so they developed testicles. They were like, okay, plan B, and they bred them to other females, and they successfully produced a spawn. And then on top of that, it was all female spawn. So it's like bizarre. Fish can change genders. They're like, imagine getting a dog and then you just like spay your dog and your dog's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna be male. And you're like, what? No. Why?
Joke's on you, owner. You just spent a lot of money for nothing. Now remove these.
Oh my gosh.
Dog's like, oh dang it, I'm out of organs down here. He just grows a couple extra kidneys. Like, I got 4 kidneys now. I'm going to have to go out twice as much as I used to. I grew another bladder.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and that bladder makes me go more. So
Banana has a tattoo because they spayed her. And for female dogs, shelters will tattoo them because you don't want to do a spay twice in case the dog comes back. Because how do you check? With a male, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
So my dog has a tattoo. Banana's cool like that.
That goes with the biker patch.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Alex from Secret History in your aquarium. Hey, Alex.
What's up?
What's up? He wants to know if there's a story with your web slinging tattoos on your.
No, there's no story. This is.
You know what I called them the first time I saw them? Because I'm a weird immigrant. I asked Jace. I didn't think about this at the time. I asked him. I asked like something about his cobwebs. I called him the cobwebs.
Yep, you call them cobwebs. And for a long time, she thought
Classic.
they were cobwebs. No, there's no story behind them.
He's just
It's
old.
He didn't serve any time.
It's
I'm
just something
kidding.
that seemed like the thing to do at the time. When I was a Ute, back when I was young.
You weren't that young.
No, not with these, but I'm just saying when it all started, I was like
Yeah.
just barely turned 17, and I would walk
Did it
down
hurt?
the alley late at night. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It didn't
That
feel
seems
great.
like
There was a
painful on
guy
the
that we
there.
knew in a very shady part of town as a 16 and 17-year-old. We go. He was a legit like biker guy.
oh.
This is a true story. And he used to do these tattoos. I mean, he's since passed away, so I can tell the whole story. He's not going to get arrested anymore. But he did them out of his basement. And all the biker guys in the Chicagoland area would go to him. But he didn't open this shop until like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. So then you'd go down there. It was everything you might, like if you could imagine in your brain, like get a mental picture of what's going on. You walk down these stairs, and it was, for those of you who are familiar with Chicagoland areas, in Cicero. Cicero is not a place you want to be at night. It is not a place you want to be at night when you're 17. And it's definitely not a place you want to be at night when you're going there at midnight. So you'd go there and you'd wait, and there'd be all these biker guys, and the place was filled with smoke. He had, I am not exaggerating, he had like a 25-foot boa constrictor that would just roam free in the basement. He had these animals, and they were just out. And it was this every bit the shady type of place you could imagine. And so that's where we would go back in the early days. And then by the time you were done, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. So now you're walking down these alleys, basically in shady parts of town as a Ute. And that, for some reason, seemed like the thing to do. And that's basically, if you have any insight now into how stupid I was as a youngster, that should shed some light.
Yeah.
I had a completely different opposite. I was just at home watching anime at that age.
Yeah, that's
I
a good
didn't
thing.
leave
That's what
the
you should have been doing.
house.
Yeah.
Alex
So-
said that's how he got his tattoos too.
In the shady part of town at 4 o'clock in the morning, underage.
I'll take that one.
I have
Yeah.
no tattoos, but I have a birthmark, which my mom
That
says
counts.
if I were to ever pass away, they will be able to identify me easily.
Yeah, not your
That's
teeth or not your dental records or your
But that's
blood
how you know
type
it's me in the video. You'll see my birthmark.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
So it's
Kasia.
not a
Yeah.
clone.
Does it have a name?
Oh, well,
Does your-
so my mom, to make up for the fact that she did say the body identification, although it was kind of funnier the way she said it in Polish, to make it cute as a child, because I used to get made fun of, because kids would make fun of me and be like, what's that splotch on your arm? My mom would call it my mousey, so she'd be like, that's your little mouse. Cause,
All right, that's your Mickey.
Because it gets
That's
kind of
cute.
hairy.
That's your Mickey Mouse. Ricky, thank you so much for the
Oh,
super
my
chat.
gosh.
Appreciate it, man. Love you guys. I have a question. Don't laugh. Would you add Prime to RODI water? And thanks for the special guest. So, well, thank you. No. Nope, you do not have to add dechlorinator to RODI water because there's basically nothing in it but H2O. So that's not a dumb question. Not at all.
Unless you were cycling your tank and were paranoid and wanted to be like, I'm not sure about ammonia, so just to be safe.
If you wanted to bind the so if you use something like a Fritz ACCR or something that would bind ammonia, but hopefully that situation has been dealt with before you put your fish in because you've used either a bacteria starter or you have cycled it another way. Maybe use filter medium, something like that. I saw. Oh, here's a good one. Sammy 3D at Kasia. That's you.
Oh.
Cherry shrimp with a Betta. I have a 6-gallon with a Betta and was thinking of adding cherry shrimp. Neocaridina.
6 gallon?
There's a pretty good chance your betta might eat them.
Yeah.
I've tried keeping bettas with shrimp, and a good majority of them
Go missing.
yes. So that's why I don't do it as much anymore. You have to just get really lucky. For me, it's easier because since I have so many fish, I can just rotate and I can experiment and be like, let me try this betta. Okay, it's not gonna work in this one. I thought, and this is in one of my betta sorority videos, the newer ones, you're going to see a shrimp massacre because I just included it because I thought, I was like, okay, I have a betta sorority. Let's add some of my cherry shrimp. I have a lot. They're breeding really well. Let's see what happens. It ended up being very, very dramatic. I mean, like, they were, like, catching them and, like, ripping their, like, little shrimp feet off. And I was like, wow, that's sad. But also, like, this is me, like, always the positive person. Like, it's really sad, but also they're getting a really good meal because this is, live food. And, I mean, there's very nutritional. So, I mean...
It's very expensive, but whatever.
But those were like culls.
Oh, the calls. All right.
Yeah. Daniel
Well,
finally
whatever.
one time decided to grab a bunch, and then
Yeah.
we
Oh,
were
the
putting them in
browns.
different tanks to see what happens. A lot of it got fed to a lot of fish, but sometimes the circle of life, you want your fish to eat. But that's the shrimp you want for your tank to enjoy. There's a good chance your betta will eat them. I've had a small amount that would do well, but if you want your shrimpies in a 6-gallon, either choose the shrimpies or choose the betta.
So I got a couple good questions here. Chickadee says, I just acquired a female crown-tail betta. Can I successfully house her with my 20-gallon Endler community tank?
Ooh, Endlers. Endlers are nice for the most part. They're not too mean. Like, sometimes, I don't know, they can be a little tiny bit nippy, but they're not going to do damage. So I think they'll be fine.
In a 20?
Yeah, in a 20. If you're
Well,
paranoid...
You've done that combo before. I think one of the tours that we did, you had that red betta that you were talking about. It's probably in the jar now, but wasn't he in the 20 with guppies?
Well, I have
or something?
I have an Endler breeding tank, which is a 10-gallon, and I recently put one of my jarred males in there.
Okay.
It's a little runt. He's super cute. I'm like, I want to keep you. He's also been in the jar for the longest time because he got picked on really early on in the spawn, so he was the first to get jarred. So I was like, he can't be in there forever. I felt sad, so I put him in the 10-gallon, and he's doing well. They're not bothering him. He's not bothering them. That's working out. If you're ever paranoid and you want to know for sure, get one of those guppy little floating breeding boxes. Put your betta in there for a while, for like a week or so, or maybe 2 weeks sometimes. This will allow your betta to see all the fish in the tank and kind of flare and try to go after them, but not being able to. And eventually your betta will start to kind of get bored. Like, after trying to murder the fish, and because that's the first thing they want to do. They're like, oh my gosh, other fish, I would like to murder. Very angry flare. They'll get bored of it. I've done that a long time ago to desensitize 2 males that were literally kind of like living together, but not really. So I would have one male in a floating breeder box, and the other one would have the tank. And then I would use food during the time to swap to lure the other one in the box, and then the other one would get outside time, so I would swap them every 24 hours. And they would ignore each other. They stopped flaring at each other. Granted, I still wouldn't put them together because I think after like a minute of ignoring each other, it would probably be like, oh, hey.
Yeah, wait a minute.
You're here. Yeah, and they would probably murder each other.
It's go
But
time.
it was still like an interesting like experiment to see if you can like desensitize. You know, you could desensitize dogs and other animals to stimuli. You can, to a certain extent, desensitize fish with a limit, but you can, so it's kind of cool. Behavioral modification with fish, yeah.
Yep.
This is a little off topic, but it's funny.
Okay.
All right, this is a joke from Finn.
All right.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a Harley and a Hoover?
I feel like the other one's a vacuum.
The Hoover sucks.
No, the location of the dirt bag.
Oh.
That's
I can say
good.
that because he's got a
love
Harley.
it. I like
That
it.
makes him the dirt bag.
Yeah, well, who's the one riding on the back?
That would be me.
Yeah.
That would be
That's
me.
right. So Jesse has, I don't know if it's not really a question, it's more of a cool, funny, interesting statement. I have a crazy 40-gallon breeder going on right now. This sounds like something you would do. I have
Like this?
So it started out as a black molly breeding tank, and now has yellow labs and Brichardi. They're all breeding, and Fry are living. So yellow labs, Brichardi, and black mollies. That sounds about as messed up as my
Wow.
125 for a while had. The 18-inch tilapia, remember Timmy, the 13-inch Oscar, a bunch of peacocks. They were breeding.
There's
mouthfuls-
little tiny fry in there. No
Yeah.
one was eating them. I was like, this doesn't make sense.
It
But
was
yeah,
one
here
of my
we are.
most productive breeding tanks. Now the Oscar's gone, Timmy's gone. They've all since passed. I just have the peacocks. None of the fry are surviving.
So weird.
Go figure out
Timmy.
that one. Timmy was
Timmy-
just like,
Timmy
hey,
protected.
Timmy had a soft spot. Timmy and Chaz had a soft spot. Like, don't eat the little ones or I'll eat you. And now the peacock's like, wait, those big guys are gone. Let's go ahead and munch on their fry.
There's like sometimes like weird stuff happens in your tank, and like it shouldn't make sense, but it does. Which is why I say like people shouldn't like be so harsh and critical when they see certain stuff online, because you don't really see the story behind it. And it's like, while you don't want to recommend beginners to try crazy things will just work sometimes, and if it works, it works. I've seen people try to force it for things to like setups to happen that like look good where people will accept it and like the fish will struggle. So like say you put a betta on a 10-gallon, but it's not a cycled tank and the temperature's off and maybe the fish has fin rot and you're not even aware of it, that fish is not really better off.
Yeah.
Even though it's, in like what you assume is ideal.
Darren asks, boa or reticulated python basement? Dude, it's been so long, I don't remember. I just remember it was a 25-foot
Danger
snake
noodle.
and it was cool. That's all I remember. Let's see here. I just saw something that I was like, oh, that's interesting, and then I lost it. And you guys know how I am with the chat. It just
I'd even try because there's so many comments in
Justin
different
says
areas.
that he's from the Cicero area. That's his hood. Yeah, I'm scrolling.
Scroll,
Hold
Mr.
on, let me go all the way. Oh, Finn Wiggles with the #1 fan jumping, man. Thank you so much.
It's like
Appreciate
me
it.
when I
Glad you're here.
exercise.
Again, you just let us
The
know
same
if we
way.
got to make some calls, talk to some people. You just drop that number in a private chat, and we'll start making calls right away. We'll fix up your schedule. Just tell me what you need the schedule to be, and we'll make it happen. I can't make any promises, but we'll certainly try.
Oh, everybody say goodnight to Wendy.
Night.
Gotta turn in.
Sweet
night.
dreams. Mr. Fish. I know I keep bringing this up. Question every time. Is there a fish keeper live, but I have a spare 3-gallon tank and I'm wondering if I could keep a betta in it. So 3-gallon.
Doable.
Yeah.
Trickier but doable.
Sure.
Be careful. So whip out the test kit. Just have it on hand if you need to. Live plants will help you a lot. And really don't go crazy on feeding and don't skip your water changes.
Right. And the other thing too is part of it depends on the personality of the betta. We've had bettas that are extremely lazy and all they like to do is hang out on their little betta leaf or just chill out. Some of our bettas, and actually this is a question I have for you, that some bettas that we've had in the past just like to lay on the ground. And then they're perfectly fine. They eat, they swim around. When you come in the room, like, hey, how's it going? What you doing? And then you're like, all right, I'm going to go lay down.
Well,
What is that all about? Is that normal? Is that bad? Is that the sign of you got something wrong? Is it old?
I mean, unless it's like laying there on the side, like looking kind of miserable and gasping and, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah. I'm just talking about a betta that just likes to lay
Bettas do
there
spend a lot of time resting, especially if they have longer fins. They have to conserve their energy because it's exhausting. When they're younger, they'll be more active. As they age, it will slow down.
Yeah.
But even in the wild, bettas are ambush predators. So what they're going to do is they're going to go in between all the little leaves and they're going to like peek in there and wait and see for something. They're going to wait for the food to appear. They don't swim in the open because they're there. They'll be targets to get eaten anyways. So they're not huge, like swim everywhere. Some of them are now, especially with the domestic bettas, like they'll be super excited, but sometimes you have to be careful and see, is your betta swimming around because it's excited to see you, or is it swimming around back and forth because the way you have your tank set up, it could see its reflection and it's surfing the glass, flaring, and constantly trying to fight the other fish. That could be really bad. So the one way to test it is walk out of the room and kind of peek in, and if you see your fish kind of settle down, because obviously they'll get excited when they see you because they're like, bring her food, yay. If they kind of chill out a little bit, that's good. If they're just constantly going back and forth, that's not going to be good for them. Constantly.
Tesla Killdozer, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm glad that we're back to crazy numbers, 1037. Thank you. Hey guys, awesome live stream tonight. I'm watching while recovering from a really good birthday dinner tonight.
Ooh,
That's cool. I
happy
hope that
birthday.
happy birthday, by the way.
Birthday.
Hope you're just chilling out and you got the food settling in your stomach and your eyes are getting
Feeling
a little
good.
half open, half closed. That's a good feeling. I got a few electric blue acaras and 1 green terror for a birthday present. Well, that's a good birthday present.
Cool.
That's the only time anything with terror is good on your birthday.
Yeah, the green terrors. Yeah, right. Yeah,
point.
is when it's a fish that's named Terror. Yeah, that's cool. Well, happy birthday! Glad you're here, hanging out with us.
Yay.
All right, you got anything over there, young lady, that you've
That'd be
seen?
me?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Whips World has a great question.
Okay.
How do bettas survive in the wild without murdering each other into extinction? They are fighting.
So the reason in general bettas are such murder fish is, at least the domestic ones now, is because they were bred for fighting, so we selectively bred them to be even more aggressive, right? The ones in the wild are not. They're a little more peaceful. They're still aggressive, but they're not as crazy. The other thing is, in the wild, fish have space, so when they encounter another fish, they could flare. They could either choose to fight or they could swim away. In a tank, they don't have the option. I've seen some people, it's really rare, where they have a large tank, like 75, and they can keep multiple males because they'll have different territories. Fish want to have space. When you confine two fish together, one fish doesn't have a chance to swim away, so either they both have to fight, or one fish is just going to give up, the other fish beats it up, and then the other fish is going to die. So that's kind of why they're such murder fish. In the wild, there's a lot of aggressive species. I mean, we have cichlids that are super mean, and, that's why we overcrowd cichlids, because we want to manage the aggression. The opposite, we want to give them less space so they're not staking out territory. Mm-hmm. With bettas, with females, that's why we overcrowd for, a betta sorority, so the aggression is evened out. So wild bettas, much less aggressive. We selectively bred them for fighting first for domestic bettas. Now we kind of breed the mellow ones that are nice for colors.
Chickadee says,
I'm so itchy.
"Hey y'all."
Ick.
Gonna be all right. We're spreading the ick. That's right. Next thing you know, I'm gonna be like, yeah. All right. So anyway, Chickadee says, "Hi y'all. Do you remember me from OCA? I was there talking with y'all with my daughter Chloe and husband. It was great meeting you guys for real.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
We remember you. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, definitely remember.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Stickers.
cool.
Woo.
Yep. Truth will out. Thank you so much for the super chat. Happy Wednesday to you as well. Glad you're here. Take a sip of my water. We had right before the live stream. I don't know how wise it was. Right before the live stream, we had a bunch of pizza. So we stuffed ourselves full of very salty pizza, and then we had a bunch of pop. And now I'm getting the meat sweats. Yeah. So now the meat sweat.
Don't look at me
What's the meat sweats? Is this a new? So okay, because I'm kind of an immigrant, and my parents raised me kind of Polish with the Polish neighborhood. I don't know a lot of American phrases sometimes, and they'll explain things to me, and I act like I just came off the boat, and I'm just like,
no, he says a lot of weird things anyway. So
yeah,
it's not a typical
but the meat. All right. The meat sweats. I'm sure some of you get the meat sweats. Perhaps somebody who just had a birthday tonight after that awesome dinner might also be experiencing the meat sweats, depending on what you had. It's when you have way too much meat. Let's just say, for instance, I just maybe polished off 3/4 to half of an extra large pizza right before the live stream.
Yeah, or if you go out for ribs, or you go out to Portillo's, or
Portillo. You're eating 5 hot dogs and a couple cheeseburgers. And you get all that meat. Next thing you know, you start getting a little warm. You start getting a little sweaty. Heart starts racing a little bit because you had way too much. Are you sure
it's not a heart attack?
It's basically just too much sodium.
Yeah, it's the meat sweats. It's not. It's the meat sweats. But anyway, where did that even come up?
I don't even know.
But I went to Korean barbecue where we've massively consumed a lot of meat.
Well,
but you're younger too.
Yeah.
I think it's an older person thing.
Maybe you need to get better deodorant. I have this cool stuff that's really strong.
Are you saying I smell?
I put the strong stuff today because I was I'll probably get a little anxious and I'll probably stress sweat.
Yeah, I was gonna mention something, but I want to do it live because
Okay, Alex has a question for Kasia.
Let's do it.
Okay. Have you found a definitive answer on what species are in the alien bettas?
Ooh. That one, so I have it written down at home, but the reason I found that out was actually I had to dig through the IBC Facebook group, the International Betta Congress. They have a Facebook group, and they were talking about breeding alien bettas, and someone mentioned the different ones that are comprised of them. And I do know that there's some fertility issues because of the inbreeding, so because of that, it's a lot harder to breed them. And I have it in my notebook, my super secret special notebook of fish knowledge.
Wow. So Aaron asks, are Bosemani rainbows easy to breed? Once they're to full size, yeah, they're not terribly difficult. Typically with any rainbow, they're going to be egg scatterers. And so what you're going to want is, obviously, males and females. They're going to breed fairly regularly as long as you give them plenty of food. Usually, when people are breeding rainbows, they're doing one of two things. They're putting a ton of Java moss in their tank, or what's even easier is if you use a spawning mob. And then what happens is they're usually going to breed sometime, it depends on the species, but often in the early morning, provided that you have the water parameters for their breeding. You'd want to do some research there about, okay, what are the, because I don't breed rainbows, so generally you're going to want to go and find out, okay, what is the ideal water parameters? Do I need to lower the water level? Is it a water change that's going to trigger it? But once they do breed, they're going to spray eggs all over the place. They're going to get caught up in that spawning mop. The easiest thing to do is then take that spawning mop, put it in a 10-gallon tank, wait a day or two, those eggs will hatch. The challenge you're going to have is not that part. The challenging part is, what do you do with fry that are so tiny you can barely see them? Because they're not going to eat live baby brine, because the live baby brine is going to be almost as big as they are. So that's when you need the infusoria. That's when you need the pulverized fry foods to get them to grow up. And
Microworms.
Vinegar.
The vinegar eels.
Yeah, but those
That's what we do with bettas.
Yeah, but those might even still be, I mean, like tetra and rainbow fry are almost invisible.
Oh.
Yeah, they're extremely
Then I guess
small.
like leaf litter, couple leaves, like have those
you
ready a
would
week
need-
before, so you have to give everything time to
you
grow.
need infusoria. You definitely need really, really, really small food. So that's the challenge. Not so much the breeding and getting eggs to hatch. It's what do you do with these tiny, tiny fry. And I'm not an expert with that. Like I said, I don't breed rainbows, but I've been around enough people who do, and I know that's generally how they approach it.
I've never bred rainbows either.
And by the way, just so that we understand, there's a lot of people here who understand what the meat sweats are. Okay?
Oh,
There's a
so
lot
I'm
of people.
just
Really?
weird.
Yeah,
It's
a lot of
okay.
people that
Usually
said
Like what?
that's often the case.
A lot of people who say that meat sweats are well worth it. So just so y'all know.
Like Truth Will Out says, I love the meat sweats. And
Yeah.
Isabella said Joey from Friends had the meat sweats. I remember that episode.
Was that from Thanksgiving?
It might have been.
When he put on the maternity pants to eat?
I don't know. If
I
it
don't
was
know
the same
why I remember.
episode,
What?
but-
I never even really watched Friends that much, but for some reason
Yeah.
the episodes I watched really stuck in my brain. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I had
It's-
Polish TV and my parents just
Yeah, I
two
hear
channels of
about
TV Polonia. That's all just Polish weather and Polish shows.
Night Raider said, I am picturing Jason eating 5 hot dogs and then wondering how often he does this.
I don't. I couldn't eat 5. Usually
No.
when I go to Portillo's, it's a hot dog with everything, and I can wolf that thing down before the rest of the food is even out of the bag,
Yeah, we're not
which I
even eating
typically
yet.
do. Yeah, and then a dry beef, because I don't like to have the
Boring.
the bread all mushy, because that makes me like really
That's
not
extra
appreciate
You
fun.
it.
can get it on the side so you can pour
No,
it. That's what
no,
food
no,
does.
no,
You
I
just
don't-
pour it
I
as you
don't
Oh
want
man,
that.
have them dip
Dry.
that sucker.
No
yeah.
way.
Oh.
And then
That's how real
and then
people
if
do it.
I'm really hungry, I'll get a fry and a milkshake. If I'm not as hungry, then I'll just get a pop of some
You
kind.
choose a straw.
He
Facts.
afterwards.
Secrets right here on this live stream.
Yeah,
You
usually
heard it
right up
first.
until the time of the live stream.
Yeah,
too.
Joanna's usually yelling. I didn't do it because we didn't have
No,
we
I
just
didn't.
had 2 liters, and you probably did that on purpose, didn't you? Yeah. If you would have gotten me like a cup with a straw, I don't know. It's just like my dessert.
I've seen it many times.
I don't eat the straw.
I've had questions.
Yeah. Hey. Anyway, Rough Ivy Rose has a question about fish, and that question goes something like this: Are Congo tetras known for aggression? They are just large enough. The males are showing long fins. My giant Daniels are disappearing slowly, one by one. They are the only fish big enough to cause issues. Well,
That's
I haven't
interesting.
had Congo tetras with a bunch of different types of fish, but I do currently have them. Let's see. I have them with the pork chop rasboras, which are not very large,
It sounds so
and
cute.
angelfish,
Pork chop.
and they're fine. They've been together for a very long time, and the Congo tetras are pretty close to full grown and a 40 breeder. Never had an issue. No fish are missing. I have got Congo tetras right now in an isolation tank that are getting ready to go to the swap. They've been there for about a month, and I actually put them in with ember tetras, which are very small, and all of them are now the Congo tetras there aren't full grown. They're still not all that big, but they're probably at least 3 times the size of the embers, and they're getting along just fine. So from my experience, I have not found them to be particularly aggressive, nor have I found them to want to eat other fish. Giant Daniels are no joke. If I were to put a full-size Congo tetras and full-size Daniels, giant Daniels in, my money would be on the giant Daniels, because those bad boys,
They're fast.
they are fast.
Whew.
They don't mess around, and they are fearless. In fact, we used to keep giant Daniels with our peacock cichlids in the 150, and those bad boys, there'd be
Wow.
8 to 12 of them, they just pow, 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 side, all 24/7. Lights are on, they're just boom, both sides of the tank, and they didn't care. Those fish would outcompete the cichlids for food day and night. They're like, yeah, we're going to eat. Just give us some elbow room. They were boisterous. I just wanted to use that word.
Wow.
They were very boisterous.
That should be the word of the day.
Yeah, we should use it. Everybody use that word before you go to bed. in a
Also,
sentence.
you could put that in the
Your
chat
loved
if
ones
you
won't
want.
think you're crazy, and if there's nobody at home, just call somebody and just throw that word in a phone conversation.
Ooh, you can go back to this video after it's done uploading, and then in the comments, because you know how you do separate comments, right? Just put boisterous. Just that's it.
Oh, thanks a lot.
And
So
then
now I'm
when
gonna
you
get, like,
people that are gonna like come, they're gonna.
150. It's like, what is this?
They're not gonna understand
This
what's going
smells horrible.
This is gonna be his secret.
He said at the beginning, these are the coolest people on the face of the earth. It seems I only know one word. Oh, look at this. Tail feather. New subscriber here. Glad you're here.
Welcome.
I have a 5-gallon Dazzle Top Fin Aquarium. Have you ever heard of that one?
No, but it sounds magical.
Dazzle Top Fin
does.
Aquarium.
It's
That
sparkle.
I'm
filter,
gonna look it
so the
up.
filter's built in.
If I ever made an aquarium,
Could
a nano tank, I'd make it sparkly. There
the
would be
filter's
sparkle
built in the
action.
back
that's a
of the
legit.
tank. Could I replace the filter cartridge with some foam, ceramic bio rings?
Ooh.
Absolutely. Any filter, you can remove
Oh.
the cartridges.
Is
So
that
all these tanks in the back here,
one with
all
the,
these.
the background
Can I
picture?
answer this question,
Yeah,
please?
I'm talking to Kasia.
Yeah.
We're
yeah.
having a sidebar.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's only one microphone. So anyway, sorry for the interruption. Some people were being rude.
This is what the aquarium looks like.
Oh, back here.
Yeah, you got
So it's focused here.
There you
Yeah.
go. So
Okay.
any filter you can shift to using filter floss, bio rings in a bag, sponge, cut it to size. All of these tanks that we have back here, that's how we do it. In fact, all those tanks just have filter floss, maybe a little tiny bit of sponge when we were getting them started, but that's it. So definitely, we don't use cartridges in any of our tanks, even though all of the marine lands come with them. Never used them after the first free ones were gone. Leo, thank you for the soup chat. Appreciate it. So I have a Tidal 75, a corner matin filter, and a sponge filter still getting poop stuck on the bottom. How can I get it to get more flow at the bottom 40-gallon breeder? What do you think? There's a Seachem Tidal 75, hang on back. There's a matin filter and a sponge filter. And there's still poop on the bottom. That's sad. Poopy tank. Poopy. What would you do?
I would just siphon usually. What kind of fish do you have?
Yeah.
Because if you have fish that are like river fish that like crazy current, you could just throw in like a wave maker and
Sure.
just move it around.
Mhm.
But if you have fish that don't like that, they're gonna be like, oh no.
Yeah, that's true. That was what I was going to suggest as well. Is if you've got fish that like the current, you don't have to go crazy, right? You don't have to throw like a 700-gallon per hour, wave maker at the bottom of your 40 breeder, and that
God.
bad boy is doing, cycling the tank twice. That might not be the best, but yes, you could do that or siphon it out, right? The problem is going to be the only flow that you have in that tank is coming from the hang-on back, and that hang-on back, depending on where it's placed, if it's a 40-gallon breeder, I would probably place that hang-on back in the center. Yeah, that means you could potentially have some dead spots in your tank. So, yeah, there's a couple of things you can do. Now, the sponge filter is not going to do a lot for water flow. The matin filter is doing nothing for water flow.
Yeah.
The two, you've already got the Tidal 75. If I were really concerned, if that were like my only tank or one of the few tanks that I had, I might consider doing hang-on backs on both sides just to get more water flow. Now, do I need two Tidal 75s? No. I could get away easily with, if you like the Seachem brand, the Tidal 55s turn the flow to fit the needs of your fish. But yeah, that's adding more sponge filters isn't going to really do anything. The matin filter is not going to do much for that. That's just, and it happens to all of us, right? I mean, I'm sure you've got dead spots in some of your larger tanks. You just deal with it with gravel vac and know that it's going to happen sometimes.
I've stuck my hand in the tank and did a little gentle like.
Oh, so we followed
swish,
up
swish, swish.
L471 Pleco and Tetras in that tank. So Tetras don't mind a little bit of flow. So a calm wave maker can certainly
the
help.
Plecos, why there's
Yeah, yeah. The
Probably.
Pleco's probably your fecal machine. I've never used that term before. Let's see here. Shannon says at Miss Primetime Aquatics, hi.
That's me.
So sorry, but please remind me what platform I need to text you for a mailing address for you. Not tech savvy, but we'll figure it out. By the way, we love your Christmas shirts.
Yay!
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So platform, we can be reached in a couple different places on Facebook and on Instagram. So Facebook, we got the Primetime Aquatics Facebook page, and on Instagram, primetime_aquatics. And then, yeah, that's how we are generally able to be found.
Just send a private message or send a message in Instagram or something?
Yeah. Yep.
I never answer messages.
I do. I try to. I mean, it gets a little crazy, as you can imagine,
I never remember
on all the
to.
different platforms.
Hmm.
Yep.
Mm.
Chickadee says Jason needs to make a shirt that has boisterous on it. 2022's new shirt.
Hashtag
Yep.
boisterous.
That's right. People will wonder, but that's okay. We'll know what it's all about.
Very small.
Yep. Angelfish Haven. I just picked up some American flagfish for my planted angelfish tank. Have you ever kept them? Any tips? Yeah, we've got them in our fish room right now in 3 different tanks. They're little worker. Have you ever had Florida flagfish before?
No.
You should get them. They're cool.
Why?
So,
Tell me.
well,
Give me
basically,
reasons.
imagine a platy,
Okay.
and this platy is got spangling similar to, it's not just like it, but spangling kind of like maybe like a Jack Dempsey or a Geophagus.
Spangling like
the
little
bluish,
speckles?
greenish, yellowish. So it's got the little speckles.
Okay.
Now, Florida flagfish are more aggressive than platies, to be sure. They can be a little bit of a pain in the behind. So you have to be a little careful. Angelfish, keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on your angelfish with the Florida flagfish, especially if you have veil tails, because Florida flagfish have been known to be nippy. Size of the tank, I don't know the size of your tank. Right now, we have them in a 75-gallon because I had green hair algae. They went in there and took care of the green hair algae inside of like 2 days. I put them in a guppy tank. They took care of that green hair algae. Unfortunately, they seem to also be taking care of some of the fins on those guppies, and I just noticed that today, and I've got to get those bad boys out of there because they did their job. And now they need to go to a new tank where they can clear out more green hair algae and not be pounding the snot out of my guppies. So just watch them. They're really cool fish. They're very active fish too, but they can be a little hard on one another, especially males, and they can definitely be fin nippy, but they are wonderful fish. And they're one of those fish where if you've got a lot of tanks, it's well worth having them in your fish room as long as you're not going to beat up the other fish in your tank. All right, here we go.
I keep looking straight into the light.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
camera's
can't
under the light.
help it. I can't help it. And then I just
You're like a deer. You're like a deer person.
And then I'll look here because it's delayed, and I just see myself just gazing.
Yeah.
At the
I
light.
just like to talk and look up into the stars. That's all right.
Blind myself.
Kyanite. What South American species would you recommend housing with electric blue acara? Any cichlids? I like to do continent country specific tanks. Electric blue. What species? South American species. Okay, so we're not talking other types of cichlids, right? Because if you've got your electric blue acara, they're not very angry fish. Have you ever kept those?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So they're, as far as a cichlid goes, they're some of the more docile cichlids that I have kept. I would do, and they also get to be about 6 inches or so, so they get to be pretty decent size. We've got them in our 125. Right now, we've got them in our 125 with like 10 Vieja. So the Synspilum, the ones that Jason was breeding at the GCCA, he gave us a big, you'll have to see him after this. He gave us a big group, and now the Vieja are big. And I noticed the other day that the electric blue acara actually kind of run that tank. They were the first ones in there. Don't recommend that mix at all. It's working for us, but South American fish, you're fine with, things like, okay, I'm going to do some hatchet fish. I don't know why I always mention hatchet fish. I just like them. They're cool at the top of the tank. I'd say they'd be fine with cory cats, provided that the electric blue acara aren't really huge and the cory cats aren't really tiny. But if you've got average size cory cats or they're about the same as the electric blue acara to start, cory cats are cool for the bottom. We mix them with bristlenose plecos, all types, all shapes, all sizes. You can do long. You've got some really cool longfins, don't you? Do you have in your fish room? Didn't you have some longfin bristlenose? Super reds, right?
Not super reds.
No?
I have the pineapple ones, and I have the albino. So they're with the red eyes.
Okay.
So they're not
But were they
the
long
fancy-
fins? I thought
long
they were long
fin.
fin, yeah.
But they're throwing short fins as well as
Sure.
non-albino too, which is kind
Yep.
of fun. So it's like, what do we get this time? I don't know.
Those are cool. Tetras, as long as they are, I would say the neon types you might be pushing in terms of size-wise. If when the electric blue Acara get full size, but the black neons tend to get a little bit larger. I really like black Phantom Tetras. Those are cool. Let's see, what else when it comes to Tetras? All your white skirt, black skirt Tetras, those are decent size. The Congo Tetras we were just talking about are a really cool combination. Colombian Tetras would be another one.
There were so many Tetras.
I know.
Oh, there's a
lot.
million different types of
X-ray
Tetras.
Tetras are awesome.
Emperor Tetras are really cool too.
Wait,
So-
are the candy
Clear.
cane ones Tetras or no?
Yes, candy canes. Yep. Yep.
Ooh, I remember.
Those are really cool.
She wanted to get some and she
Yeah.
never got any. And we were
Yeah.
very sad.
Woe is us. So what do you got over there? You got anything that you saw?
Oh, there was a question about plants roots. Can you trim them to keep them like kind of like tame them or something? But anything that I will plant with roots, I will always trim before I plant it.
Yeah.
And it tends to give them a boost. And you can even do that while you're storing plants too, if you're somebody who likes to store them, out of your tanks. But yeah, trim them.
So much easier when you're planting them too.
Oh yeah. Have you ever
'Cause
tried to put a ball of like a crypt?
You'd have to make like a little volcano mountain. It'll be
Yes.
like your
Oh
tank,
my
and
gosh.
there's your little plant, and
It's
it's like
a nightmare. Yep.
Yep.
Trim them.
Knight Rider said, lame. Bleeding Heart Tetras. Yeah, Bleeding Heart
Oh,
Tetras
yeah.
are cool too. With your electric blue Acara, for sure. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, Kevin's Canines and Aquatics. He's asking, Kasia, are you going to any of the events this year? So Aquashellas, something else.
I think we want to try to go for sure to the Florida Aquashella.
In February.
Yeah, Daniel actually wants to go.
Cool.
Are you coming with us?
I don't know.
Are we going to drag you down with us? Are we going to do a road trip
Mm-hmm.
like we did to Cleveland? I think we're going to have to.
Possibly.
We'll see.
But your car is really bouncy, and then I
That's
got
true.
a little car sick.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
We have the same problem. Whoever sits in the back seat gets.
Yeah,
car
they
sick.
were alternating. It was like, I'm like, I don't
You
get
don't
car
get car
sick, so
sick, so
I
you
don't.
don't get it.
I don't understand.
I mean,
That's
it's
not a-
good
Just
like
have the flu.
suspension, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't
Sit in
know.
the car with the flu. See how you like
No,
it.
I wouldn't want to do that. Okay, so maybe that,
Or
and
maybe
then
we'll fly. If he wants to, he's never been to Disneyland. He wants to
okay, so that's definitely a thing. And then
Mm.
there is something, and I don't know for sure if we're going to be able to go, but the Aquaticon that's in Knoxville at the end of April, and it's a weekend show, and I kind of want
I've
to check
never
that
heard
out.
of
I
it.
love
It's a
Tennessee.
new thing, but Fish Room
Might be
Fever
cool.
is kind of
Cool.
heading that up. So he mentioned it a couple times, and we might try to check that one out too. So you're going to probably have to go to that one.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I'll be at the Chicago Aquashella for sure because
Yeah.
it's local, so that's like a very simple given. I'm also at a lot of the swaps, so if you ever want to come
Yeah.
to any of the Chicago swaps,
Yeah.
we're all usually
You're all there
there.
hanging out like a bunch of crazy fish keepers. Dave from Iowa, he's got this goal, everybody, of 200 likes. Make it happen for him. Make his day.
How many are we at?
Well, right there it says 196, so we're pretty close.
Oh,
So Dave from Iowa says, let's get it done.
get her done.
We can do it if we put our mind to it. Let's see here. Regina says, I have Florida flagfish in an outdoor tub. They are doing great with my white clouds, even now in December. Yeah,
Nice.
that would be a good combo. White clouds are rather resilient. They're pretty quick. Florida flagfish probably aren't going to try to mess with them. That would be pretty cool.
Killer Kitty 08's going to be at Aquaticon.
Really? That's cool. That's another reason
That's
to go then.
another reason that
Yep.
we should go.
That's more motivation for
That's
us.
so cool.
It's like,
Family
Considering
road
it,
trip
yeah.
since I'm adopted.
that's right. We're doing this, man. Let's see here. Whips World says, hey, plant people in the room, how sensitive are plants to cutting roots? Oh, wait, you already answered
Oh,
that.
that was that was Whip that
Yeah.
answered that asked the
Okay.
question.
So now we know.
All right,
Now
you're all
you know.
set. Trim away.
I'm
Now we
sure
all
they get
know.
offended, but they
Right. Oh.
cope
Yeah.
Cutting my hair.
with a little bit of therapy.
Alice B.
They
Can mollies breed with swordtails? Google says yes and no, so I'm confused. Mollies and swordtails.
You know, I've never kept mollies or swordtails, but I've
That's-
seen them in Polish shops back in Poland as a child. So
And
I
you never
remember-
kept them, so you're not really Polish then. You're not Polish until you've kept mollies and swordtails in Poland.
in Poland.
Just wanted you to know that. You're an imposter.
Dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
you're a boisterous imposter.
Drama.
So, all right. So to answer your question, I'm not. So I don't know. I've never mixed them. I don't see why not. They're very similar, but I don't know, like genetically, if that happens. I'm not sure. Let me know. Let me know if you start getting some molly tails. That'd be pretty cool. If anybody knows, leave that information down below. All right, we're going to answer a couple more because it's almost time to wrap up this bad boy for tonight. And we'll look for a couple more great questions. If you have something, if you got something related to bettas, you can certainly ask that. Isabel says, I have an algae that one dose of ChemiClean didn't cure. Do I do more doses? ChemiClean. I don't. Sorry, extreme salty pizza, meat sweats. I don't use chemicals to deal with algae. I've never done that, so I don't know. When you've got algae, what do you do? Besides cry it out.
I cheat because I have my Placidochromis, which like love everything. So I just like chuck whatever has algae on it into the Placidochromis tank. They'll clean it for me completely, and then I put it back in the thing. And if I have the blue-green algae, which is not really algae, then I put in the shrimp tank. The shrimp will eat all of it. So that's my cheat.
Yeah.
Chemicals, algicides scare me a little bit because I've looked at the ingredients list and it's they say it's aquarium safe, but it frightens me a little bit.
Yeah. I agree. So I don't use it. The way that we deal with algae and keep it under control is typically a multitude of things. One, water changes. We try to keep our nitrates at 20 parts per million or less. If it's a planted tank, 20 to 30 parts per million is fine. So that's thing number one. If you don't have a ton of nitrates in the tank, you're probably not going to have a ton of algae. Second thing is competitors. And so most of our tanks, when you look at our fish room, and I know yours is the same way, planted. So especially when you've got floating plants, you've got hornwort, duckweed. I know it's a pain. It's a weed in and of itself. But duckweed, floating plants, hornwort, guppy grass, stuff that's going to grow really fast. You want the plants to compete with that algae. We had a situation, I mentioned this a long time ago, where we had blackbeard algae was on our rocks in a 20-gallon long. I chucked some hornwort in there. Within about 3 weeks, the blackbeard algae all died off. So there was a competition thing going on there. Could have been chemical competition as well, a little bit of chemical warfare. I'm not exactly sure. So we got keep your nitrates under control, add plants. Now, if you can't put plants in your tank because like maybe you've got your Placidochromis, which is a cichlid, and I know you do this too with the pothos, right? You grow pothos out of the top of your tank or in your filter.
Just don't put it in the tank if you have Placidochromis. They will eat the roots.
They'll eat the roots too. Yeah, I know. Ours will do that as well.
But you can put them in the filter. Cheat.
Yep. And then the pothos will outcompete a lot of the algae for the nitrates in the tank. The other thing to consider is your light duration.
Yes.
So if you don't have a planted tank, this gets much easier because then you can dial back either the intensity of the light, if you're able to adjust the light intensity, or the time. For us in our fish room, we leave our lights on for 9 hours a day, 2.5 hours in the morning, 6.5 hours at night. How long are you leaving your lights on? Is it consistent?
Only about 6 hours. But the reason for that is because I have a big window in my fish room, so I have a lot of natural light. And I also, for some reason, refuse to ever close the blinds because I work from home. So I'm like, I need the sunlight so I don't get depressed. So I had to, but I also have different tanks set on different times. So, for example, the Placidochromis tank, because it has no plants inside, but a little bit of pothos in the filter, but that's it. That one only gets 5 hours because I'm like, you don't really need that much. But then on my closet tank, those get an extra hour. I think they're at 7 now, and I'll adjust it throughout the year too. In the summer, I'll have a little less because in the morning I get like direct light, which for some reason works really well to grow certain, like my moss love it and they go crazy. So I kind of play around with it. The easiest thing, if you want to mess around with timers, especially if you don't want the mechanical timers you have to reset, get one of those little Wi-Fi timer cube things. I have them all connected, so I control all my tanks on an app. So easy to turn tanks on and off because you do it, with your phone, and then you could adjust your different tanks. You name them, and then you can start to adjust based on the type of tank. So I have 2 tanks next to each other. They're 20 talls, right? One is a Phoenix light, much stronger. That one is, I think, on 5 hours. But then one next to it is my weird exception tank is actually on 8 hours right now. And that's the one with the tiger betta and all the tetras in there. That one's for 8 because the light is very weak. So, and it's also a fully planted tank. So it's weird. I just kind of play around with it and see how it goes.
And the other thing too then is you add the livestock that could potentially control the algae. So maybe you've got a community tank, you can add some mystery snails, right? Sometimes you need, like if you've got a 20-gallon long, a single mystery snail is not going to do it. Maybe you might need 4 or 5. If you've got fish that will eat snails, then we typically have bristlenose plecos. And I know people are like, oh, bristlenose plecos don't eat algae. Well, they do in our fish room, in our 80 tanks. Now, we don't have them in all 80, but any tank that can house a bristlenose pleco, which is pretty much all of our tanks that are 20 gallons or greater, we don't do a lot of algae control on those tanks because the bristlenose plecos are taking care of that. So that's the other part of it. And maybe you've got otocinclus. That can also help. You mentioned the shrimp for some types of algae that can, bless you, that can also be helpful. All right, we got a super chat here, Infinity Aquatics. Thank you again. Do you still have gold shellies? Do you still have your gold shellies? Do you use RO water with them? Also, I'll be at the Chicago swap this weekend. Well, first of all, cool. I'm glad you're going to be at the swap. We'll see you there. I don't use RO water, with the exception of just a couple tanks. We're not using RO water in any of our tanks. Like I said, there's a few that we are. You've got a bunch of gold ocellatus. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about now, right?
Unfortunately, I don't have any babies available at the moment. I thought I was down to 3 males. Turns out I have 1 female in there. So there's 2 boys, 1 female. So I'm going to try to get them to breed again. There was a few babies in there, but I didn't pull them out quick enough. So I'll try to, continue to bring ocellatus,
so you
spread them around.
off all of your ocellatus all the way down to 3? And now you were
worried
that you didn't have enough females. That's funny.
That was not the original spawning tank had 5, but the male was mean and he killed off the other 2.
Okay, yeah, that happens.
And I kept trying to spread everybody around the club. So if you see ocellatus in the Chicagoland area, probably
babies.
They're
Yeah, you were bringing a lot of gold ocellatus. Here, you want some? We're selling them off at the swaps, at the auctions.
I was bringing them to the club. I was like, you get an ocellatus. You get an ocellatus. Everybody gets an ocellatus.
Yeah, so you were you're an ocellatus queen. I don't do RO water especially for us because we've got hard water, we've got the high pH. I'm not.
They like it.
That's perfect for us. So that pH of 8 to 8.2, GH and KH of around 10 degrees for both of those. That's exactly what they want. So RO is going to take all that out. That would, if you didn't do anything with the RO and you just put that in there, that would be horrible for them. They'd probably die very, very quickly because they need that water hardness, the KH.
All right, Finn wants to know what heaters do you use for your small betta tanks?
Ooh. Gosh, what's the brand? I think mostly I'm using, Aquion ones,
so just
I think.
The non-adjustables or adjustables?
The adjustable.
Okay.
I don't like the non-adjustable anymore because even if a heater is a little bigger than recommended, if I could watch the temperature, I feel better. But I also heat my whole fish room. I don't keep it as hot as I used to. I used to try to keep it at 80, but then being in a humid 80-degree room and then working at it during the day, it's just not that great. So I keep it a little lower now for winter. My sweet spot's 78. So a lot of the smaller tanks at this point, I just let ambient heat, and then I only heat the bottom rack of my fish room at the moment, and that seems to be working kind of okay. If that's not the case for you, you'll probably be better off with a heater. Or just keep your house toasty. This house is nice and toasty.
Yes, it is. We have to heat the fish room, and doesn't matter if it's great in the summertime because it saves all kinds of money when you're walking in and be like, you got the air set at 78? Yes, I do. In the wintertime, it gets a little bit more expensive because when it's cold outside and we're still kicking, we don't run it that hot in the winter. Usually it's 77. Oh. So if you're warm, it's 77 degrees in the entire house. But in the fish room, it's 82.
Yeah, so, I can't. Yeah, I can't do that anymore.
But you get used to it. That's the crazy thing is I'll go to people's houses that have a normal temperature of, I don't know, let's say they set the heat at 72 or at night it gets down to 66 or 68. I'm like, wow, freezing, man.
I sleep with like all winter. Me and Fu we'll close the door and we'll sleep with the window open in winter.
Yeah, that's.
Wow.
So I go
in
from
winter.
toasty fish room to freezing bedroom.
Then you
on
wonder
the
why you
opposite
get sick.
side.
Every other week she's like, I have a cold. Yeah, that's probably why. So anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this wonderful live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the questions. I'm glad you taught me about this live chat thing instead of top chat. I saw a whole bunch more chats coming in, and that was really good. I promise I'm gonna try to remember that from this point forward. I'm not making any promises, but I promise I'm gonna promise to try. All right. So thank you very much for being here. We will be back next Wednesday. Same time, same place. Probably without this one here because she's not going to want to drive out every week. But thank you for being here.
You offered me pizza, and I was like,
yeah,
well,
that's true.
We will make it. Okay.
Yeah. And if you haven't already, check out Creative Pet Keeping on YouTube. It's the place to be, especially if you love bettas, otherwise known as bettas, and nano stuff, and an apartment fish room.
Yeah,
So,
I'm on the 5th floor.
Yeah,
with
5th floor.
16 tanks.
It's a good idea. Hope you got renter's insurance. All right,
actually,
everybody.
we do. They required it. Yeah.
That's good. We will see you next week. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you for all the super chats and everything. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
We're going to press some buttons.